Let me introduce myself. My name is Charlie Coiner. I am the owner of FirstDown PlayBook, but probably more importantly, I'm a 30-year coach. And what I'm hoping to do tonight is to take you through a portion of the power run game and talk about that. Let me also introduce my coworker and co-owner of FirstDown PlayBook, Kendall Acho. She'll be on here. We'll be talking back and forth. Let me just give you a little bit of the layout before we get started. Essentially, we're going to have either nearly 100 or maybe 100 total people on here tonight. So we can't really slow down and take questions as we go. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take you through, 30, 40 minutes of talk about the power run game. And then at the end of it, we will have Q&A. And I shouldn't say Q&A because we'd rather you use the chat functionality. And so we may even have the Q&A turned off on this. I'm not sure. But at the very end, if you got questions, I'll stay as late as you want. I mean, we'll get all the questions answered. Now, a little bit about FirstDown PlayBook, because we're going to be using it tonight as we talk about the power run game. It is as FirstDown PlayBook, the goal essentially is to give you detailed coaching help, all right, from actual coaches. And when I mean detailed, you're going to see it tonight. What we try to do is we try to take a run play or an offensive play and not just block it up against one front or block it up against air. We try to block it up against multiple fronts, give you coaching points the whole bit. And then on the defensive side, we try to take a defense and match it up against multiple formations, because we know that that's the way football is played. It's not played, you don't always get to run against the best defense. You don't always get to play your defense against the formation that fits it just right. So that's kind of who we are. We're into the little details because we're coaches. And the other thing is we're about saving you time. We understand that, the only person busier than an NFL coach might be a busy mom or dad who's trying to actually coach your team and do their job and all that. So that's a little bit of background. Now, the other thing, as you saw when you were in here before, we're going to do this over the next 10 weeks. We're going to tackle one thing a week. And so once again, tonight we're going to start with the power run game and really just try to get into the nitty gritty details of that. And then I just want to finish up by saying this. This webinar is not about anybody being a guru, including me. This is about trying to slow down, make sure everybody understands what we're talking about. If you have a question, and at the end of it, there is no dumb question. I mean, the only one, like the old saying goes, is the one that doesn't get asked. So I want to make sure that we get this thing to where when you leave here tonight, you understand a lot about how to run the power. And if you can do that, then we feel like we've done something, and we'll move on to the 6-2 defense next weekend. Okay, here we go. All right, now you're going. For the sake of time, I have opened up a lot of windows at the top right here. But what you're going to see is we're going to talk about the power run game and some of the things that come off of it. I've got it drawn up against just a basic 6-2, and my take on youth football is that it's all about the arm of your quarterback, the ability of your quarterback. Now, some of you may be youth coaches in here. You may be coaching 12, 13-year-olds. Some of you may be coaching 8 or 9 years old. It's all different depending on how talented your quarterback is, because if your quarterback is talented enough to make them soften up in the secondary, then what's going to happen is you're going to get different defenses. Now, I'm for the most part going to approach this like your quarterback is not ready yet to take a game over with his or her arm. And so you're going to get really hard defenses to run the football against. And so we're going to look at it versus a 6-2. We're going to look at it versus a 4-4. We're going to look at it versus an odd, a 5-3, and then a 5-3 bear where the center and 2 guards are covered. Then we're going to come back and look at it with a heavy, unbalanced look. And then we're going to come look at it with kind of like a goal line wing look. And then I'm going to give you a play action pass off of it. And I feel like, as we get through that, you'll have a pretty good idea with it. And then once again, just write your questions down. We'll take questions at the end. All right, let's go take a look at a 6-2. And I'm in the edit function of FirstDown PlayBook right now. So I'm going to be using that as I take you through and show you, just the basics of the power. Now, I'm not going to get a whole lot into how deep your tailback is and how deep your fullback is. I think, once again, that has a lot to do with how old your players are. I mean, if you're coaching 12, 13-year-olds, you can put that tailback back there with his feet at 7 yards and you pull back at 5. But if you got younger kids, move them up a little bit, okay? So let's just talk about the premise of the power in general. What is a power play? Okay, there are some components with the power play that I think are essential. And then there's at some point, I break from purist about what a power play is, okay? Some people will tell you that a power play has to have, down blocking on the front side, a pulling guard, and a kick out fullback in order to be a power. Well, I'm on board with most of that. And what I mean by that is I think with the front side, you've got to either have gap blocking or you got to have down blocking. You need to have a pulling guard to have a power play. You don't necessarily need to have a lead fullback. And if you don't believe that, watch college football or the NFL week in and week out, and you'll see it, okay? So now I'm giving you just a pretty basic youth offense formation, all right? 2 tights and a Z out. Now, obviously, I'm going to show you here in a second where you can widen out. Now, keep in mind that when we do our youth football plays, we draw the players a little larger just because we understand you've got younger players, attention span and all that. Our varsity players, we do them a little bit smaller than this. But the big deal is that we want to talk about scheme here. Now, you're facing a 6-2 defense where you've got really everybody playing heads up with the ends and the tackles inside. You've got 9 techniques with your 2 outside backers, and you got 2 inside backers essentially playing man coverage across the board with a free safety deep. Okay, now the rules and the things I want to talk about, I want to break it down into 3 areas with the power. Front side blocking, the puller, backside blocking, and the backfield. So let's start with the front side blocking. Now you can, at a very young level, if you had like 6 or 7-year-old kids playing, there's a school of thought out there that you could just gap block this. Block back into the C gap, block back into the B gap, block back into the A gap, all right? And that's the A, B, C as far as gaps go. And that's probably a pretty good idea if you've got 7 or 8-year-olds. And then really on the backside, you just block back and allow the puller to pull. But I'm going to give you just, if you're coaching 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, some ideas about, just how the front matters and how you can block the individual fronts. So what you want to do, all right, with a power play is you want to get movement at the point of attack. Now, the point of attack typically with a power for younger kids is going to be a little more outside wherever you get your double. There are people that are going to tell you the power should be running the A gap all the time. I'm not one of those that believes that. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to take the tight end and probably tighten the split down. You come up and you know that the tight end's going to block down. You want to tighten your split down with the tackle a little bit, and you two are going to double team this in. The difference that you get instead of gap blocking and man blocking is that you actually get displacement and get that end moved off the ball when you do this. When you get, just pure gap blocking, what ends up happening is everything gets washed down this way, and really you don't ever get any movement on the play. And so that's where right now versus 6-2, the tight end and tackle, they are going to double team this end, knock him off the ball. If the end works outside, the tackle is going to come off and go to the backside backer. If the end fights hard inside, then the tight end is going to come off and go to the backside backer. It's just a double team block, a combo block to the backside backer. Now, the way we've got it blocked here is that the tackle, all right, the offensive guard is going to base the tackle. Now, let's say you're playing a team and this guy right here, you're playing it, and this guy right here is a great player. Okay, then what I would do is I would change my blocking scheme. I would get the double on him, let the tight end just block down, and you really get the same thing, except you're now blocking their best player. So that's why I like this better than just gap blocking it back. And when we've all played those games, whether you're in the NFL or youth football or whatever, there's that one kid that's ruining your day. Well, get a double team on that one kid, particularly if you're planning to run that direction. Now, your center, always in a power play, is going to be blocking back. He's got to block back to allow your pulling guard to pull, okay? And now, what is the footwork? All right, and let me go back here to the double team footwork right now. If I were double teaming this tackle right here, I would tell this left guard right here, step with inside footwork because they can't get beat inside. And I would tell the left tackle, step with lateral footwork to the left, stick the right foot in the ground at 45, and just get movement. Try to get movement, 5 yards movement somewhere in here. Now, the center is going to step 45. Don't have to be aggressive because he can get that tackle across his face, or he can get that tackle getting in the back pocket of that guard and trying to go this way. And so what you want to do is you want to step 45 and teach him, let that tackle tell him what to do. If that tackle starts upfield, he starts upfield. All right, you just block him there. If that tackle wants to get in the back hip of that pulling guard, all right, what you got to do is just flatten out and run him back. Now, on the back side, what you want to do is you want to take, really it's more like you could take this guard, depending on the age of your player, and this could be a hinge block back over here. Okay, a hinge block is where you step with a little depth and check this tackle right here to maybe help if the center needs it. If he doesn't need it, then he comes back on this end right here. Now, once again, let's go back and treat it like it's a really young player. What I would do is I would just simply cut off the backside end and cut off the backside backer, okay? Now, let's take a look at what we've got right here. So we've got, all right, the front side blocking, the backside blocking. We've got a double team back to this backer here. All right, we're pulling the guard. The guard's rule is to pull, okay? He's going to open. He will throw his right elbow, open his hip up, and come across. Now, depending on your philosophy of it, some people can skip pull. They like to skip and keep his shoulder square to the line of scrimmage. I think for a young kid, you better get him out of his stance. You better let him throw his right elbow, throw his right foot back, get in a running position. But he also has to be ready to turn up in the first hole he sees. And then the first hole he sees, it should end up taking him right here to this backer. And then you can see where we've got, they're obviously the backers are going to react. So he'll be the front side backer guy. Now, let's go to the backfield right here. Now, some people will open up. Power game coaches, hard to run out of split backs, hard to run out of anything that you don't have enough depth to get somewhat downhill. That's why, for the most part, you're going to want your quarterback under center or in a pistol to where maybe the tailback could be behind him and the fullback's lined up right beside the quarterback. Some people will even reverse out on the power. For younger kids, I would recommend opening up at 45, getting some depth, all right, and getting the ball to the tailback deep enough where he can actually see the pulling guard and see everything that's happening in front of him. Now, you'll see that we've got a fullback. What I've done in this play right here is motion that fullback over to get them into a better situation because they have to kick this backer out. And if you start doing it, you start doing it from the home position, meaning right behind the quarterback, and this cat right here is coming downhill because he's coached up well too, and that tight end blocks down. This collision now can happen back here. If this collision happens in the backfield, not so much a good thing for the offense. So that's why what we've got right now, we're motioning this fullback over here to get him in a little better situation where he can get inside out of that linebacker. Now, his aiming point needs to be downhill first where he can get a kick out. All right, so now the tailback is going to lateral step with his right foot, let the quarterback get the ball back to him. All right, and now lead with your left, right, and get downhill. Follow your guard, be inside of your fullback. All right, just a basic, good old-fashioned power play. Now out here, all right, they're going to put a cat on this Z out here. He can either block him or outside release and run him off because it's probably going to be man coverage in youth football. Now, before I leave this 6-2, I want to point out the people that are unblocked. All right, right here, this corner is unblocked, but the play's away from him, and he's probably a smaller player. If he's not, and you're worried about him, you can actually tell this F to block levels. Block the most dangerous. But right now, we're not blocking this one, and we're not blocking this one. This one's a running back man. So that's your 6-2 right there. All right, now I'm gonna go a little faster with the others. All right, so let's go over here. Let's take a look versus the 4-4. Now you can see what we've got going right here. Your rules are still really on to inside. It's kind of the same thing as a gap blocking when you look at it. So what I'm going to do as a tight end, I go, okay, I don't want to block out, not in this scheme anyway. So I'm going to lateral step down inside, make sure I don't get any movement. Then I'm going to get up, all right, on the number 2 backer. Always leave, in a pure power, leave the first linebacker unblocked for the pulling guard. All right, now I've got the same situation now with a 3 technique with this tackle. Tighten my split down. You two get the movement. All right. A purist would tell you to step with the the outside foot right here with this 3 technique. With young players, you just got to be careful. If that's a 2, you can't get beat inside 2. But typically it would be shaded foot, all right, near foot, movement on this tackle, get them displaced, and get them knocked back to the number 3 backer in a 4-4. Center, same rules. Block back at 45, pulling guard for the play side backer. Now you can see where, because this tackle right here is not in a 2, he's out here in a 3. What I've got is really, it's called kind of like a cat block, center and tackle. They kind of both step at 45 to this tackle. And if he were to actually stunt this way, then the tackle would take him. If he would stunt this way, then obviously the center would take him. And whoever didn't take him would go up on the backside backer. And now your backside F will cut off this end right here. Once again, and there's a reason I'm showing you this corner on the backside is unblocked. Everybody in the backfield, same rules. All right, fullback's kicking out the end man, tailback's looking to get behind the pulling guard in a 4-4. All right, in a 5-3, all right, now you still want to have your same rules up front. All right, on the inside, do I have anybody on me? Anything outside, you don't block out, not in this scheme. All right, so right now your tight end is going to close that split down with the tackle. They've got the same blocking assignment that they had versus the 6-2. So they're going to displace this tackle, back to the number 2 backer, which is the Mike backer. Now you've got the same thing with the guard and the center. They're going to work together because the center's got somebody on his nose right here. So they'll do the same thing that the tackle and tight end are doing. Displace this nose guard, knock him back to the backside backer. All right, now, shouldn't be a hard block at all for your backside tackle because you've got a head up tackle, and the backside F will cut off the end. Same rules on the backside. Fullback kicks out the end, and the corner on the backside is the one that's unblocked. Now, the last one we'll go show you here is a 5-3 bear. Really, it's just called a solid look to where your center and 2 guards are covered. But just kind of stay with your rules. All right, on the inside, is there anybody inside really that's a threat? Not for the tight end. So really, he's got a free release. Now, you could teach it for him to be flat first before he actually came up. And that's probably a good idea because there's really no hurry. He's got a great angle on this Mike backer who's probably going to be stacked on the center all the way back there. So you've got the Y blocking back. Now you've got the tackle blocking down on the 3 technique on the guard. Guard blocks back, center blocks back. So really, you got three players right here all doing the same thing. Block back, block back, block back. Now let's get the guard pulling around. That holes will be a little bit wider, right? And now you got back over here that cat block I was talking about. The tackle and the center can work up to the backside backer depending on how that tackle plays it. All right, now, then your backside end is getting cut off by the F over here. And once again, your free safety and corner are unblocked. All right, so gang, that's 4 schemes of just your basic power of in my mind, basic premise of what a power play is. And once again, if you've got questions about that, you can come back and ask at the end of it. Now, let's get over here back to the 6-2. There are people that will tell you that that's the only way you can block a power. That you have to block it that way or it's not a power. I'm not one of those people. I believe that the power play needs to have the front side blocking, all right, similar to what you're talking about, but really a power is just where you've got the pulling guard and a downhill play to the play side. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say you're playing a team, once again, and this one right here, he's that guy that is absolutely ruining your day, okay? And so knowing that, all right, and you're sitting there and you're asking this poor fullback, regardless if you're motioning him or not, and it is a collision in the backfield every time, one that your fullback's not winning. Well, I mean, you're asking for it to keep running that, the same way all the time. Now, there's one school that might say, well, why would you even run the power? To me, you can still run the power, but not let this guy get such a head start here, and maybe your tight end is a bigger player. So what I would do is come out here and base your tight end, okay, and then base your end here. I'm just going to take out the. So now what I'm going to do is I'll motion over the same way, but I'm going to lead my fullback up on the near side backer. And now instead, my rules are going to change. Now I've got to get my pulling guard to understand he's pulling, but he's pulling for the backside backer. Okay. Now where does he turn up? He turns up wherever he sees the hole, just like he did before. But now what you've got a chance to do now what did you give up? Okay. You gave up a double team across the board, no doubt. But if this guy right here, once again, he's the guy ruining your day, I'm here to tell you right now that you can make an adjustment, okay? And maybe you probably, if you're coaching youth league football, you know that he's going to ruin your day before you ever get to Saturday, right? Because you know what position he's probably going to play, and you know that this is not going to be a fun day for the fullback if you do it that way. So you just base it across the front, let your fullback take the play side backer, let your backside guard pull for the backside backer. Nothing else changes. Same guy back over here is not blocked. You just made life a little easier on your fullback. And really your tailback's got the same read. Let's go take a look at what that would look like versus a 4-4. All right, same situation. All I'm going to do, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to base my Y, block that player. They're a good player. My pulling guard's got to understand that now he's got the second linebacker because the fullback's got the first linebacker. And I'm off and running. Is that a power play? To me, it's the power play. And I'll show you why, because once again, people run the power like this in college and NFL every week. And they do it just for this reason. They do it really because there's not a whole lot of fullbacks left in the NFL. More coming back now, but this is still a power play right here with an adjustment. Let's look at that versus a 5-3. All right, I'd have the same rules. Come back over here. Wouldn't have a double team there anymore. I'd lose my double team. And that's one of the negatives about it. Coaches will say, well, you don't have a double team anymore. Well, that double team not going to help you very much if his end over here, once again, is wreaking havoc in your backfield. So right now, I've got my guard on the backside. Not backside, number 2 backer, I should say. He's just going to turn up wherever he sees daylight. And then once again, that backer is going to move. Now I've got my fullback play side, and I've got my tailback understanding that. Once again, still a power play. Right now, 5-3 bear, same thing. I'm going to base it right here. Put my guard back to the backside backer. Put my fullback play side. Nothing changes back over here now, guys. All you've done is just to rearrange your assignments to get this guy right here blocked. Okay, so that's one adjustment, all right, that you can make. Now, I want to go back and I just want to talk to you about what I was talking about with NFL teams and college teams, where this all comes about. All right, so, and you have to be careful about this when you're coaching youth football, and I'm big on this. But you could take this fullback right here, all right, and take him out of the backfield, and I'm going to take him out and put him to the weak side. When you do that now, what's probably happened is, obviously they're going to take somebody and cover him, right? So it's probably not going to be that backer right there. So what you've done is you've taken away a guy that you weren't blocking anyway, and he probably wasn't going to be a factor. Now this would be a receiver out here, but the thing you need to understand is that you still can run the power play, all right, without a kick out block if you block it like this. But now what you want to do is you go back to your old rules, all right? You go back to your old rules, and now that guard is going to block the play side backer. Now, the thing that's different is that you're going to have to do some things here to take care of this guy because he's not blocked. This backer right here is not blocked. And that's why I say that the scheme can work, but it typically works at a higher level of football if your kids are older and you're coaching 10, 11, 12-year-olds. And here's why. Because what's going to happen is you're going to end up having two safeties. If they play a six-man front or something like that, you probably won't get as much six-man front. But when you get two safeties, now you've got enough players to block. All right. But if you do this, all right, without a fullback, and you do it in youth football, odds are you need to understand that you're going to have to not block either the backside off backer or the end backer on the line of scrimmage back over here. All right, so let's just go back and look. Once again, a lot of these looks probably not going to be great looks just because of what I just said. Take my fullback. Once again, now this wouldn't have to be your fullback. That could be any player out there, and you can just balance up in a too tight set. But now you've got the corner, all right? And once again, now you get your guard back on the play side backer, front side. But everybody now has to understand that, right? Meaning that now this has to get up on this backer right here, and they'll be skewed a little bit back over here because you're not in a two-back set. And it'll probably be the tackle that comes off. But as you can see right here, you got blocking to the backside backer. The one that's not blocked, all right, is this guy over here. This backside backer here. Okay? There's a method to my madness here, gang. We'll get back to this. I'm gonna show you how you answer this at the youth level here in a second. All right, so we're gonna remove this again. Once again, my corner's out in the 5-3, same thing. My pulling guard's on the front side backer. They'll block up to the Mike backer. Once again, they'll balance up more just because it's a balanced formation. And it'll more than likely be the guard that comes off. And then once again, this guy right here is unblocked. And the same thing will be true with this one here. Okay. So now I've adjusted all of these to a one-back power scheme. Now, and one thing I didn't do, I kind of skipped right over there a little bit though. You can help yourself out, gang, with this. All right? And you've got a big problem with a bear because this one right here will be unblocked, which is not good. The Mike backer being unblocked. But what you can do, and let me go back to the first 6-2, all right, you can get in a pistol type alignment because that's going to help you more with the throwing game. And then you can even get in the gun. If you like the gun formation, you can get in the gun, have your tail back a little bit in front. Now, it's harder to get downhill, but he can take the ball and run the one-back power from there. Now, let me show you what a solution would be in youth league football, in my opinion. Continue to run the power, but only have one back in the backfield. And that is to put your tailback on the same side. And I know some of you got different rules where you can and can't do this. But you can run the play to where now what happens is put your backside guard over there again on the backside backer. Take your tailback and let him block play side. And now let your quarterback run a quarterback power. And the quarterback power, anybody that watched the Baltimore Ravens, anybody that watched even Mahomes some, I mean, you saw that, big time play in the NFL now. And a play that can easily be run at the youth level. And so now what's happening is your quarterback is going to slide over to the right. And now he becomes the power back. Now you don't want to block back, all right, too much and then have your tailback have to block the end gallon line of scrimmage. That's not a good scheme. This is just really like once again, it's a one back power. Let's go take a look at that again. Right back over here, same thing. Let's put my quarterback in the backfield, or in shotgun, I should say. Put your pulling guard on the number 2 linebacker. Now you got the numbers again, right? So you don't have an unblocked backer. That guy's blocked now. You've got an extra guy with your tailback to block. Now your quarterback, once again, is running the power strong side. All right, versus a 5-3. You got the same thing. Your guard blocks number 2. Tailback is the lead blocker. Now your quarterback is just going to really read the guard just like your tailback would. Now this block goes back here, and he's blocked now. And then finally the 5-3. I'm sure you're all getting it by this point. And we're going to put this out there, gang. You'll be able to get this video. If you're going like, man, he's going through everything here and he's not, but we'll let you go back where you can take notes and all that. So there's a way that you can get in a one-back set, all right, and still run the power. Just let your quarterback do it. Now, I know some of you may have rules where your quarterback can't run, and so, you have to take that into consideration. But for you guys, for you gang, that can, this is the way you can do it. Okay, so essentially we've done we've done a base power against these 4. All right, we did an adjustment with the power where we just switched the tight end assignment and the front side fullback. All right, and then what we did is we went one back and ran a pure one back power. But we know that if the defense isn't going to play 2 deep safeties against us, that might not be a great idea at youth football level. If you're 11 or 12 years old players and you've got a quarterback that can make them play 2 safeties, then yeah, you can still run a one back power. But even if you are playing with 8 or 9 year olds and you're going to get a single safety, you can run a quarterback power out of one back. And so those are the things we're showing you down there. Now we're going to go and show you really 3 adjustments here. We'll show you a heavy unbalanced adjustment, show you really like a goal line, a wing power play, and then I'm going to show you a play action pass off of it. And then we're going to get into I'm going to show you a video. Got a one shot of the Buffalo Bills, believe it or not. I'm going to show you that because I think that does a good job of explaining what a one back power actually looks like. All right, let's go back over here. Let's go heavy unbalanced. All right, now a couple of things about unbalanced before we go much further. When you go heavy or unbalanced, and what I've done right here is I took the left tackle and I moved him over next to the right tackle. So this is guard, tackle, tackle, tight end. Okay, everything else in the backfield is still the same. Now, pluses and minuses about doing this. First thing is understand that at the youth level, they may not adjust. I don't have them adjusted right here. If they don't adjust, good for you if you're running the power play over here. Because like you said, like we said earlier, I mean, we've got down blocks. We keep our same rules. Double team, back to the backside backer, base, block back, all right? And now the fullback, he essentially, I guess I better put this in the edit mode here. Hold on a second. He essentially has no one to block. So, I mean, he's coming out here as an extra player. Now, you can't count on that all the time. Now, the negatives if they don't adjust. Nobody's blocking this guy. So if he comes screaming off the back end, you better make sure, you know, that you can get the ball to the line of scrimmage. If you do, you're in good shape. And against younger players, you probably will. But nobody's blocking him on the backside if they don't adjust. Now, if they're coached well and they treat this guard right here like the center, what they're going to do is they're all going to just adjust out. Now the center becomes a guard, the guard becomes a tackle. But if they do that, if you keep your rules, you're still in good shape, right? You still got your fullback on this backer. You just got it extended a little bit. Now, your pulling guard's got a little bit further to go. But the advantage is that you give them a little bit of a different look here, and if they don't adjust, you may gain an edge over here. And just understand the positives and the negatives when you do that. You've got to be ready to be blocking. If I were going to do this out of an unbalanced heavy, I would make sure that that's when I would really be talking to my offensive line about, if you get confused, just look on the inside and block, and he would be outside, so he wouldn't be on. And then stay with your rules, and you should be good right here. All right, so that's just one way to run a heavy meaning 4 solid linemen over here, or 3 solid linemen and tight end. Unbalanced, meaning that you've got one less eligible, okay, because you moved a guy over. Or actually, you've got just a solid side over here. You get the same amount eligible. Okay, now let's go take a look at the wing. In other words, I'm going to take the same formation, and I'm going to take that wide out of the game, unless he's a bigger player for you, and I'm going to move him down here into the wing. Now, why would you do that? Why would you take this guy right here, all right, and change that up? Well, stop and think about it. Same deal, right? Maybe this player right here is the guy that's giving you problems. So if you put another tight end in the game, now you can essentially get a down block on that player, and now you let your fullback come out here and block a corner. So once again, you're just trying to look at, you know, I don't care if you coach 8 or 9-year-olds or if you coach on Sundays. There's going to be 1 or 2 players that you're going to know about, and they're going to be a problem for you. And so my recommendation is that you have an answer either by formation, either by double team, however you do it, make sure you get those players blocked, because if you don't, it won't matter what your other 10 players do or what their other 10 players do. So this is just really like a goal line wing, double tight wing power play. All right, now, the last play before we get to the questions here, just a play action pass. Now, you know, a lot is made of RPOs and all that. And at the younger level, my advice to you is stay away from run pass option stuff. But having a good old fashioned play action pass, all right, is, I think, essential. So when you design your play action passes, a couple things. One is think who is the problem? You know, and I'm in a 6'2" right here. You know, who is going to be the problem once again? And I'm not talking about who's going to be in the backfield or anything like that, but by numbers, and really it's going to be this play side backer here or it could be the free safety coming up being extra. It's somebody that's getting nosy and they're trying to be aggressive on the run, right? You run the power, you run the power, you run the power. All right, so my advice to you as far as a play action pass power would be to keep everything the same in the backfield almost. I don't think you have to pull the guard, okay, to make it look like the power. Because even if you pull the guard right here, this backside backer is who's going to be keying him. And so all that's going to do is pull one more guy over here to the play side where you're really trying to throw the ball, and it's going to give you a chance for a run through to where, you know, if he sees a guard pulling and he decides not to go over the top, he decides to go with the pulling guard or front side, not so good. So just now is when I am a firm believer in just gap protect it back. Gap back to the B gap, A gap, backside A, backside B, backside C, and D. Now, don't go block air. What does a backside gap block look like? It looks like I am going to, if I'm this guard right here, I'm going to stick my right fist, my right open palm, right into anything's chest I have right there. I'm going to jar him with my right palm, then I will take my left hand and I'm going to punch it down into the gap. If there's nothing in over top of me, then my right hand's going to come too. But I'm going to 1, 2, punch backside gap. 1, 2, punch it backside gap. Now, what I want to do here, if I'm the tight end, I've been blocking down. We've been double teaming this end. We've been double teaming. I want to go down. I actually want to get my hands on that end. I don't want to get in jail with it. I want to put my hands on him, and then I want to rip. I've got to violently rip, get out. I got to get out of there, not let him hold me up. But I want to sell. But I want that linebacker on the line of scrimmage. I want that linebacker on the line of scrimmage. I want this free safety maybe to get nosy up in here. And so I want to get vertical to 10, 12 yards, whatever you want it to be, based on your quarterback, and then flatten to the boundary. And so what you've got out here is you've really got this corner in a high-low situation because he thinks he's going to get blocked. All of a sudden he gets, you know, this guy pops up in a little hitch right here. Probably that corner is going to come up, and you should have a good opportunity to throw it behind him over here, somewhere between the hash and the numbers. Now in the backfield, right, once again, don't get tricky with it. What you want to do back over here is I want to have my fullback and my tailback block. The first thing it shows off of the really the tackle. Let your tailback take the most inside. Let your fullback be the widest, because once again, your matchup probably is going to be with this backer right here, and your fullback's going to be more physical. And then once again, your quarterback is going to fake to the tailback, but the ball has got to be gone now. Don't have all day on a play action. That ball needs to be, this ought to be 1,000, maybe 2,000, up to 10 now to the bench route. And the ball's, once again, delivered somewhere between the hash and the numbers. Okay, let's go back over here. So those are the plays that we've talked about with the power. I'm going to open it up now. Kendall's going to be working with me. I hope you do ask questions. That's what it's here. There, once again, there's no such thing as a dumb question, and I'd love to answer them. But like I said, I've talked to you now for a little bit, about 45 minutes. Love to talk to you about anything you want to know about the power play or anything that I think I can help you with. Nothing?
We got one here, Charlie.
Right. What do you got?
All righty. What are your thoughts on a pulling guard at 8U?
I think that's a valid point. If you're going to run, and let's get back over here and let's find one of the schemes that, if you're going to run a power scheme, okay, nothing says you have to run a power scheme. I think that one of your better players had better be your puller, okay? Better be your guards. But let's face it, we're going to talk about counters at some point. We're going to talk about, we've talked about power here. You could even talk, I look at a lot of youth plays I see out there that we've drawn up in FirstDown Playbook, and a lot of guards and tackles are pulling on sweeps. And so I agree. It needs to be one of your more talented players, but I also believe it's a learned technique. And that's why I think that, it may not have to be your biggest kid. Your bigger players may need to be the ones that are double teaming. So I think it's a valid point, but I don't think that I've seen 8-year-olds that can certainly do this, put it that way. The harder part than the physical part of it is understanding when to turn up. And I think that even, coaching in the college and the NFL level, if you start telling the pulling guard who to block, okay, now they know it, right now at the older levels, that pulling guard is going to go, okay, when I come around the backside, I need to know where 56 is, okay? And so they're smart enough to do that. And maybe a younger kid could too. But what you don't do is you don't pull looking for 56 the whole way. You get in your stance, you throw your right elbow back, you open your hips, you get going across the line of scrimmage, and you turn up wherever you see a hole. Because you can almost bet that 56 is going to be there with you, right? And if he's not, good for you. If 56 takes a false step or something like that and ends up back over here, then keep going, because essentially, in this case, it'll be the quarterback, but your back or your quarterback should be reading you and getting right behind, all right, right behind the puller. But I think what we do sometimes is we paralyze our pullers, all right, because we tell them, all right, you got the second linebacker. Be looking, they're up there like, okay, get all that pre-snap. Ball snap, man, go. And if there's something there, now where do I turn up, coach? Well, wherever there's a hole. If there's a hole here in the A gap, turn up. If this tackle stunts down, this guy has to block down, guess what? Get on out here to the B gap. Turn up wherever you see air and tell the quarterback or tell the back, whoever's going with him, you just follow the guard. He'll, you make the guard right. Any others, Kendall?
Yep, quite a few. This one's from Aaron. Do you base your offense off the power play?
Well, do I base my offense off the power play? I don't have a team. If you're asking me, would I, Aaron, should you? I think it should be based on a couple things. It should be based a lot on that thing about the guard we just talked about. If you've got kids that can pull, and you've got a downhill runner, and right now we've got the quarterback in that position, but really it's this guy right here. If you've got downhill runners, I think the power play is a great play. I think the power play at the level you guys are teaching it is a great way to teach football. You've got down blocks on the front side, you've got a puller, you've got cutoff blocks on the backside, you got a kick out block by a fullback, most of the time, right? And you've got a downhill run play. So I love the power play. Now there are offensive line coaches that, at the NFL level even, where it would be 3rd and 17 and they would be wanting to run a power. I'm not in that school, but I do believe the power play is a great play to teach younger players the game of football. Kendall?
This one's from Kevin. Play action pass and pistol.
Well, off of the power, I would assume, since we're talking about the power tonight, I mean, a lot of different versions of pistol out there, but did you say Kevin, Kendall?
I did.
Okay, yep, Kevin, to me, you need to run your play action pass off of whatever you're doing your run game off of. So if you're in the pistol, all right, now I don't know if you're doing pistol out of one back, but if you're doing pistol out of one back, then I would go back to some of these deals here, all right? Meaning that I would do it off the one back power. But I think absolutely you can do the power play action off of the power, the pistol play action off the pistol power, because all you need to do is make sure it looks just like the run as much as you can. I hope I answered your question there, Kevin. If I didn't, ask it a different way, and I'll try again. Go ahead, Kendall.
This one is from Paxton. Can you run a counter out of the power?
A counter, and I hope you say Paxton, Kendall?
Yes.
All right, Paxton, I hope you come back in a few weeks. Here's the difference in a counter and a power. Okay, let me go get one of these right here. Just be patient with me while I take out some of the lines. All right, a power play, and I'm going to put the fullback back in here again. A power play is when the quarterback, now the quarterback can reverse out, but the power play is where everything is heading to play side, okay? And that's either your fullback, whatever you've got going, you've got to pull and guard just like you do on a counter, okay? But everything is starting to your play side. A counter play, let's say that this was going to be a counter play. Guards pull on counter plays too. But the counter play, the difference is the tailback's going to start away. And your fullback typically, if there is a fullback, is going to be away. All right? And so what you're doing is this with your counter. You're kind of selling like it's a power almost, or some type of play over here to the left. But now what happens on the snap is after they take that initial step, the fullback and the tailback, all right, the guard still pulls, all right, and we'll get into the blocking assignments the week we do the counter. The guard still pulls as the first puller, all right. Your second puller now becomes your fullback. And there's a lot of different ways of doing this too. And now your tailback starts one way, and he comes back the other as well. And so looks a lot like a power play from a standpoint of the guards pulling and all that, but what's happening in the backfield, and really, the blocking assignments are a little bit different about which backer you're blocking and all that are different too. But we'll come back and we're going to hit the counter play big time. Once again, I don't know what week it is, but it's coming up. That is definitely one of the nights we're going to spend. I hope that helped you there, Paxton. What you got, Kendall?
Daryl wants to know how you would modify the power run verse 6-2 for ages 5 through 7. They can't run through the O hole.
They can't run through the what?
The 0 hole.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So you're talking to me. What I would do is I would probably block it just like this. Now it's a 6-2, all right, that you're probably going to face. If I was going to run a power, then what I would do is I would probably just try to do it like we did initially. I would try to get a double team. Once again, somewhere in here, get a double team, either on this tackle or the end. Let's just go ahead and make it to tackle. Block down with my tight end. All right. I would keep it simple. Once again, Daryl, the problem, you don't have a problem. I think this is a play that makes sense even to younger players. Now, it's not going to hit downhill. It's not going to hit like I think that's what you're talking about. It's not going to hit in the A gap. But I think this play still makes sense to younger players. I think that if you're coaching 6-year-olds, your blocking scheme might look like this. Hope I'm making sense, meaning block the C gap, block the B gap, block the A gap. Because at that age, it might not be so bad if you end up washing everything down instead of getting movement. And then you tell the fullback, you step inside and block the first thing that shows off of the tight end's tail right there. Okay, and so what you do is you get everything washed down, get you a kick out, let that guard pull around. Once again, it goes back to that, a 6-year-old pulling. It ain't gonna look like, it's not gonna look like it does on Alabama playing LSU or something like that. But I still think it's a great play to teach football. And down, 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 cut off, pull, kick out, let's go. And I'm gonna tell you one thing right now, that in practice, when you run it enough, all right, it's gonna help your defense to understand down, down, down. Guess what needs to happen? All right. Well, you better teach those linebackers that they're scrapers. If these guys get washed down inside, he gets kicked out, then you better have a scrape linebacker. I know I got the free safety doing it now because I changed everything around, but I just think it's a good play to teach football, and I hope that makes sense. Kendall?
Cassandra asked, with these types of run plays, are you always running up the middle and not going to the outside?
Well, Sandra, I think yes. I think there is a power bounce. Never say never, but at the youth football level, you could run. There are power sweeps. Depending on how old your kids are, there are power reads to where you've got jet motion coming across, and the quarterback can hand it, and then to the sweep out here, or that he can keep it and run the power inside. A lot of different things you can do, but I'm going to assume that you're coaching 9, 10, 11-year-olds. I think the power is a play to teach as a downhill play. The counter play is an easier play to get outside. I think the sweep play is obviously a play to get outside. Once again, you've got jet sweeps, you've got toss. You got a lot of different ways of getting the ball outside. I think the power for younger players is a good old-fashioned B gap, C gap play. Some people love to run the power in the A gap, like I think it was Daryl was saying a little bit ago. But I think that for younger kids, having a good downhill B and C gap, and B being between the guard and the tackle, C gap being between the tackle and the tight end, I think that's the best way to teach power to younger kids. Kendall?
Josh wants to know, would you motion the fullback in a pistol alignment?
Say it again, Kendall. I'm sorry.
Would you motion the fullback in a pistol alignment?
Well, if you're talking about to get your numbers, you could. All right. Let's go back here. Once again, let me try to get some semblance of what we had initially. And gang, all the stuff you're asking, is good. Because what you can do, you can get into, the scheme part of it. But if you're going to motion your fullback out, I'm going to assume that you motion him out here weak. All right. So yeah, look at what you've done. You took this corner out of there that really is not a good tackler anyway, and you weren't blocking him anyway. So to me, if I'm motioning that out, I don't know what I've gained there. Now I'm running a one-back power, which is fine. I showed you guys how, that you can run a one-back power. You just got to base it up and let your pulling guard block the front side. But now I don't have him blocked. So be careful of what you're doing. If you're motioning that fullback out for a reason, all for it. But if you're just motioning out because you're trying to, make them think that it's not the power, I don't think that's I don't believe that would be the way to go. I believe I would just keep my fullback in there and run the power. Now you can run you might want to motion your fullback out and throw it to him, or you might want to motion your fullback out and start him this way and then throw the tall sweep and then let him lead up on that guy that's not a very good blocker or tackler out here. I mean, what you're doing after you motion would be the key to me. I don't know. I'd have to have a reason to motion the fullback out on the power, though. Kendall?
Umar wants to know if they will have access to these slides. I think he's talking about the content here.
What you'll have is you'll have this video will live on the website. You'll also have it the first week will show up on YouTube, and then the rest of the time it'll be on it'll be on the website in a special area. All of these plays, Lamar, I put these plays together, and once again, obviously I work with it every day, but I put these plays together in about a half an hour. These plays all live on, and let me go back and just show you this play right here. Right, if I go to power, this is a too tight. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. All right, so if you go to our youth offensive section, what we do is we give you, and we've got a lot of windows opened up here. I'm not sure how fast or slow we'll go, but I just want to show you where everything lives on First Down Playbook in regards to, we've been working with this formation right here, Pro I. So all this content already lives on First Down Playbook. Once again, I apologize. I'm running off my hotspot right now, and I got a lot of windows opened up. And we're actually making an adjustment on the website to make it faster too. But as you can see right here, we already give you a bunch of different plays, and they're all blocked up. Now, this is the power right here, okay? And so if you want to come in and get the power, and you can click on Youth Power Runs there and get every power run we have. So here's your power play. And if you want to see it versus a 5-3 bear, there it is. If you want to see it versus a 4-4, there it is. And you can flip it. We give you coaching notes. And then obviously you can come in and you can edit the play, print it, and whatnot. So there'll be video of these plays, but in order to get the actual stuff, you'd have to come in and actually purchase First Down Playbook. Kendall?
So from Roger, power versus odd front, why defend backside?
Y as in WHY?
Correct.
Well, let's take a look at it right here. To me, and Roger asked Kendall again if I don't answer this right, but I mean I think you have to defend the backside, because on the snap of the ball, I mean, who's to say that that guy is not going to jump in the hip pocket of the pulling guard? And that's a hard block right there for that tackle, to do it. But I think at a youth level, depending on how you teach it, I think you can teach, make sure you're inside first. Don't let that happen. And kind of the same thing out here. But I think you have to, even in an odd front, you still have to block that tackle, and you have to get a hat on this end, or else, I mean, he may just, get in the back pocket and tackle it before he ever gets to the line of scrimmage. Now, the backside backer, I don't know. I mean, once again, if I'm coaching that backside backer, I'm coaching him to key this guard. I'm going to teach him to look through the guard to the fullback. And so if that guard pulls, I'm going to get him over the top. I'm going to tell him that he's got to get over the top before the center of the guard come off. So I still think you have to block the backside of an odd front if you're running the power. If I didn't answer that right, just ask Kendall again, and I'll go back to it. You got another one, Kendall?
Yes. Robert asked, it's kind of a long one, what is your thought on leaving the play side cornerback unblocked in favor of getting a block on the play side outside linebacker? At the youth level, most of the CBs are smaller and less athletic than the OLB, and the cornerback thinks it's sweep half the time and gets stuck behind the kick-out block.
That's what we did right here. I think it's a great idea. I think that I've got the fullback on him here, but, nothing says – this is kind of like a goal line formation. But nothing says that, that you couldn't be out here and just bring a wing in and block the backer, and now you got everybody blocked, and maybe double up in here. Maybe get your fullback and your pulling guard up inside, and you don't block him. I mean, that's the one thing that is the same about the NFL. And use if you got one that won't tackle, and run at them, and that's, you know, I talk about it all the time from a standpoint of corners. You know, you've got to make them tackle. If they won't, then yeah, I think it's a good idea. His mom probably won't appreciate it very much, but it's still a good idea. Kendall?
Those are all the questions we have.
Okay. Any last shot, gang. Once again, I'm not going anywhere. I mean, I want to make sure I answer as much as I can. Now, once again, I'm not trying to. We're doing this for 10 straight weeks, gang. Our goal here is to help you. But I'll promise you this, that there's nothing else out there, all right, that will help you from a standpoint of not only just saving you time, but already has, once again, all your blocking assignments, things that you can adjust. Once again, we've been doing this all night long. I mean, we've been using our editing feature all night long. But if I go back now and you look at, you know, just how much information is in here before you ever touch the editing button, and it's not just the offense, it's the defense too. This is a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal as far as when you get in there and you're starting to try to draw on some of these drawing tools I've seen, or, you know, you're digging through the internet trying to find, you know, well-drawn plays that actually had football coaches that drew them. There's a lot of information in here, flag too. And then if you're coaching older, when I call them tweeners, all right, 12, 13-year-olds, there's plays that I would recommend up here for those guys. And once again, you know, it all kind of lives right here for you. So I would highly recommend FirstDown Playbook as something that'll help you out down the road other than the webinars. But we'll be back next week. We're going to turn it back around, and we're going to go to the defensive side of it. And whoops, I went to the varsity there. Didn't mean to do that. But we're going to go to youth defense, and we're going to get involved with the 6-2 defense. And we'll talk a lot about how to defend plays like the power and like the counter and the sweep and all that. So, you know, we hope you all come back next week and spread the word, and we'll do the same thing. We appreciate you guys being here. Look forward to having you here next week. Y'all take care. Be safe.